So, you probably want to a little bit know what's in it, right? All right. Am I boring you?
No.
Awesome. That's good. Yeah, that's one of the worst qualities I'm super boring. So there's 6 qualities. He called them a commonality of traits, and we later renamed them qualities. 6 qualities, because a trait almost implies that it's something that you're born with, right? And he absolutely insisted these qualities were something you acquire. You decide that you want to acquire them. So the qualities are groomed, knowledgeable, connected, aware, timely, and polished. And you say, well, those are nice adjectives, Mike. You know, everybody knows a professional should be groomed, should be knowledgeable. But what does it mean? How do you know whether someone has that quality? And that's where the secret comes in. You break down 5 specific behaviors that one practices to prove they have the quality. And I think that's really the genius of what he came up with, and what we eventually, after 55 years, finally put it in writing in a book. So there's 30 behaviors. And I just want to touch on sort of my favorites in each one. So the first one is groomed, and there's 5 specific behaviors. And he taught that in your career, to rise to the top of your profession, you should dress equal to or 1 step above everyone you're dealing with. Automatically put you on an even playing field with all of them. And I learned this quality the hard way. My first day at work, I rode my motorcycle from Florida to Charlotte, North Carolina, because I put myself through college, University of Florida, and then Florida State, grad work, working 3 jobs, and all I had was a little motorcycle. And so I rode it to Charlotte with a change of clothes, and my first day's worth of clothes. I shipped some boxes. That's all I had, worldly possessions. And I show up my first day at work for Durwood, and I walk in, and I've got long hair, and I'm wearing a leisure suit. If you don't know what that is, you should Google it. Hideous. It was a yellow, like banana yellow.
Oh, no.
And I had a print flowered shirt. And you wore the collar of the shirt over the collar of the coat. And I had white shoes, white patent leather shoes. And I walked into work. And he looked at me like, that is not going to work. And I'm like, what? So he says, first of all, you can't travel around the country, wine and dine rich alumni, and get them to donate to the foundation and work with student leaders on a motorcycle. So you have to buy a car. Here are the keys to the company car. You can drive the company car. We'll pay for your down payment. We'll deduct it out of your paycheck every week until you can pay for your own car. I like this job already. Get in the car. He said, he says, go get a haircut today. He says, here's my credit card. Go get yourself some nicer clothes. I said, awesome. Jumped in the company car, went down to the store, bought $700. A lot of money back then. $700 worth of new clothes. Came home. He came by that night. I was just so proud to show him my new clothes. Opened up the closet, and he looked inside, and he burst out laughing. I was like crushed. Sitting in the closet was a row of polyester flower shirts, brown polyester coat, old, just, And so the first lesson is, just because you give someone money and tell them to go get some nicer clothes, doesn't mean they're going to get the right clothes appropriate for the job. He would always say, look, you can take the surfer boy out of Cocoa Beach, but you can't take Cocoa Beach out of the surfer boy until you give him a whole new frame of reference. So he handed me the book, Dress for Success. He said, read this book, devour this book, go back and take every single one of those clothes back and come back with something that would be appropriate for you and the people that you're going to be dealing with. And I came back, I kind of looked like Mike. I had these awesome khaki pressed pants and beautiful Oxford shirt and a blue blazer with gold buttons and penny loafers. I know it sounds kind of yuppie, but that was that's what I needed to be for what I was doing. And it changed my whole perspective. That's how I learned about dressing one step above, equal to or one step above. And he insisted at every meeting we went to, every industry conference, you will always show up in coat and tie the first day. You can then dress down with everybody else the rest of the week, and then you'll leave on coat and tie. The first impression and the last impression I want you to have at every industry conference I sent you to. Practice that my whole career. Fast forward about 10 years later, I was raising 3 kids. I was struggling as an entrepreneur, but things were going well, and I had a chance to pitch an investment banker on Wall Street, trying to raise $10 million. And I went down to a professional clothier, and I said, make me look like $10 million. And I bought a $1,500 suit. I thought my wife was going to kill me. But I got the money. And I didn't get the money just because I bought the suit, right? I had a good proposition too, but I felt like $10 million. And I was in an environment where they wore $1,500 suits. And it matters, right? But we don't teach it. We don't teach it. Just telling somebody, here's some money, go get some better clothes, doesn't solve the problem. Next one is knowledgeable. One of my favorite is, be curious. Ask a lot of questions. Why is this so important? Well, when I was in grade school, I remember distinctly, I sat in the front row, and I was raising my hand every chance I got. I was curious. I wanted to ask questions. And pretty soon, I'm like, Mike, you asked too many questions. Let somebody else go, right? Or I'd be out with my parents at an adult event, and I'd be asking a lot of questions, and my dad would say, Mike, that's rude. Because, you're like questioning this person's authority. That's rude. Don't do that. So by the time by the time I was in high school, I was the kid in the back row that barely raised my hand. It's drummed out of us. Being curious, asking questions. I had to relearn it. I had to relearn it. But you know any professional, anyone who rises to the top of their profession, they are asked a ton of questions. A ton. Are curious as heck. They read a lot. Audiobooks, wherever they can. They're super curious, and we don't encourage it, right? We almost discourage it as a society. So important to become knowledgeable, curiosity, reading a lot. I didn't learn to read. The only thing I saw my parents read my entire life was the Sunday newspaper. They never read to me as a kid. They never gave me a book, told me to read. I thought reading was something you did, it's punishment. I had to do it for homework, right? Reading was punishment. And so, by the time I went to work for Durr, he said, here's the rule around here. You will read a newspaper a day, a magazine a week, and a book a month, minimum. I'm like, oh my God, I just got through college. And to this day, I still do. I had to learn to read, right? Become knowledgeable. Let's go to the next one, connected. So one behavior 13 is choose a domestic partner that makes you a better person and a more effective professional. And because the right spouse will make or break your career. But here's one that's more important, in terms of, because we're at a networking event, and I didn't learn this until probably in my 40s. And today, how many are on LinkedIn? You probably have a couple thousand connections, right? How meaningful are those connections? Right? What kind of relationships do you have at all of them, right? So let me give you a tip that I learned about connection, and part of it was given to me by Derwin. He said, your network is a series of concentric rings. Draw one in the middle, and that's you. You are at the center of your network. You are at the center of your universe. Then draw a smaller circle around that, and in there you can put 8 to 12 people. 8 is actually a very known number by behavioral scientists about close, super close personal and professional relationships. 12 max. Those are the people who are going to make or break your goals, your professional goals in the next 12 to 18 months. Your partners, your colleagues, the people that you interact with every day. Choose them, put them in there, follow them, talk to them. You better talk to them every week. Read their blogs, read their articles, call them up, have a conversation. Then draw another circle, a little larger, and in that you pick 25 people, no more, 18 to 25. Those are your colleagues, your extended network. For me, it's M&A professionals, other entrepreneurs, brokers, people who are they're the influencers, right? Pick those people and interact with them at least monthly. Read their blogs, respond to their emails, check in with them. Your goals will go 10x. What you can achieve will go 10x. Then draw the circle a little wider. This is called the Dunbar's number. Again, another famous number by professional behavioralists. 150, which is the maximum number of people you can have in a tribe or a community. Proven through history. 150 people. Those are like groups on LinkedIn. Like I belong to the M&A brokers network. And follow them, like them, and they'll do the same. And then then draw a circle, and that's the rest of your network. It's like 1,000 connections on LinkedIn. They're all out there, right? What's important to me is the inner circle, the colleague circle, and my tribe. And every year you do a balance of trade audit. You look at those people, and you either demote them out of those circles into another circle, or you promote them in, based upon your balance of trade. You have a trade surplus, or a negative balance. If you follow that rule, there isn't anybody I can get you, by the way. I mean, I have proved, the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. For me, it's like 1 or 2. And especially, it's very important in my business, where corporate CEOs, celebrities, I literally, through this concentric ring, I can reach just about anybody and have a conversation with just about anybody. It's amazing. So, that was my gift on connection. You better read the book to find out what I want. So the next one is, after connected, is aware. And that's self-awareness. And that's the one a lot of people struggle with, to become self-aware. And one of the most important ones to me, the behavior that I recognize is be mindful of yourself in different environments. Adapt, but do not make uninformed assumptions. How many people do you know are the same in every single environment? Especially if they consider themselves a successful CEO. They're always on stage, they're always the one doing all the talking. They never adapt. They're the same person trying to act the same way all the time. They assume everybody knows that they're important, when a lot of people might not know they're important. They assume that what they're saying is relevant and people want to hear, which it may not be important or relevant at all. These are some people who consider themselves very successful, but they are so unaware of themselves. They do not know how to adapt to different environments. It took me a long time to master that. Now I shut up usually, and I'm talking right now. But usually in most environments, I'm the one doing most of the listening. Right. The next one is timely. There's 5 great behaviors. The one I love the most, and you probably singing to the choir, is make a to-do list every single day and separate the important from the unimportant. This one behavior that Durwood taught me probably changed my life more than anything. And my sweetheart, well, she's a testament. To this day, I make a to-do list every day, and I have to-do list the things that the honey-do list, and I have the Lilia list. Lilia's my partner in VR, and I have my things I have to do for my kids and my father and for my colleagues. So there are all these things that are happening in your life, but you make a list every day, and you separate the important from the unimportant, because so many people spend all their time on the unimportant. It's incredible. And I do it every day, and I don't go to bed until it's done. Like, finally I'll look at Patty, I'll say, all right, my goals are done. She'll go, thank goodness we can have some wine. I won't stop. I have my to-do list every single day, and I separate the important from the unimportant. That's time, and that's part of being timeliness. And then I'll just leave you with the last one. The last quality is polished, and one of my best behaviors, my favorite behavior there is anticipate the future. Plan to win, not just not to lose, and accept full responsibility for your life and your career. so many people. They reach a certain level in their career, and they just don't want to lose, right? They're just planning not to lose. They're not planning to win. They're not really anticipating the future. What's going to happen 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 15 years? Where do I see myself? They sort of stop, right? And that's such a critical thing to learn, to anticipate the future. Plan your future. And plan to win, not just not to lose. And it will change your whole perspective on life. So I'll leave you with this very important notion. Look, most of you guys are already at the top of your careers. You're already true professionals. I know many of you. And many of you are on your way to the tops of your professions. There is nothing more important you can do, not only by setting your example, but by actively mentoring. Pick a protege. You will change their life. You will change the trajectory of their life. Albert Einstein said, do not choose to be a person of success, but a person of value. And so I just ask you, choose a protege. Teach them what it really truly means to be a true professional, and they will have an amazing life. Thank you.
So you probably have questions, and I'm going to ask the first one. One of the things I really liked about your book, Mike, was it was authentic. And it was authentic because rather than just rattle off these values, you gave us some really robust examples of giant mistakes you made in your life. And I'm just wondering, was it tough to put those on paper and print 100,000 copies of them and let people all around the world read about your mistakes?
You know, I think they would have been when I was a young professional and considered myself a successful CEO and had raised millions of dollars and had 100 people working. I probably would have. But you get to a point where you want to share the warts and the failures that you learn. Of course, you learn as much from your failures as you do your successes. And so, and maybe that's why 25 years ago I couldn't write about it. My ego wouldn't let me, right? I hadn't lived them all. I hadn't failed enough. I hadn't succeeded enough. I hadn't mastered them. So now I tell everybody, I've been a stinking failure at a lot of things.
Very cool.
I think it's an amazing story. I mean, what you're talking about, like you said, it's something that's out there, but really it's not. And you put it in writing. And hopefully it's going to be helpful to some people. I've read a couple of chapters, and I'll read the book tonight, so I can read the whole thing. But I went through it, and I thought, I know about this stuff. It's good to see it in writing, and there's some things here that I didn't know. So I think it can help everybody.
Yeah, it has 240 strategies and tips on how to acquire the qualities and practice the behaviors. And there's 30 data points from behavioral scientists on, like, empirically they've proven why this stuff works, right? And then there's 30 quotes from professional people that you all know and heard of, like Oprah, many others. And they speak to every specific behavior.
I read the book, I thought